How do you help the church?
Well, I guess you talked to Tom. He came in and talked to you last week. And so you understand what he does. He kind of is in charge of making sure the money gets in the checkbooks, right? Well, I get to spend the money. I get to make sure that we have enough money in the bank to cover those funds. And we are very fortunate to have a congregation that helps me be able to pay those bills. Because that's the only way we make money. It's not like a family where you have people earning money. Our church earns money by people giving. And if they don't give, we can't pay the bills.
What made you want to do that?
Well, that's something I do. I'm a CPA, which is Certified Public Accountant. And so I think it's important. So I think it's important to give as you can when you go to church. Everybody has different talents, and that's just where I am. So I thought I'd better give it back.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, I do. I have 2 dogs, and my daughter has 2 frogs, so I guess that they're mine too, right?
Which ones? Which one?
The African frogs, the little bitty.
No, which one?
Which daughter?
Which daughter?
Dogs, I have a Case Hound, and I have what's called a Posh, which she's half Pomeranian, half Sheltie. So it's like a little red fox and a wolf.
No, Casey or Josie.
What daughter?
Okay, sorry, Casey. Casey has 2 frogs. But they've lived in my house for a very long time. I think they're really mine. They don't go away with us.
Are they free running or are they in cages?
No. They're in a aquarium. They're aquatic type
I didn't
frogs.
know they just hopped all over the place.
I have those too. My kids, I have lots of outdoor plants that I keep out on my deck, and in the wintertime, I bring those in. And I don't pay much attention when I bring them in to make sure that there's nothing occupy them. So we've had a lot of interesting falls with these tree frogs floating all over the house. And the kids are
Oh, God.
tree frogs. I think they're very awesome. I'm really not afraid of those things.
Who do you live with?
Who do I live with? My children and my dogs. I had a husband, but he's no longer with me, so we live same house we always did.
And your daughters are?
Casey and Josie.
Casey is in college.
Yes, she's a freshman. Well, she's a sophomore, and actually she was a sophomore when she started college, so I guess she's getting closer to being a junior.
Wow.
And then Casey is a sophomore now in high school, but she
Josie.
Josie, sorry.
I
She
wish
starts
I was.
in August. She gets to go a little later than you guys.
It's not that fun.
Your time will come.
Yes, it will.
Those 4 years go really fast.
Yeah.
I think middle school seems funner.
You already answered this question.
I'm making
What do you do for a living?
I'm a CPA, but I'll tell you, I can add to that. That's a little more out of the box. I work for a grant program, basically a federal grant, and I'm kind of like, accountants a lot of times can be kind of like cops, making sure people are spending their money correctly and it's going to the right places. So really the program I work with feeds children, and it's part of the National School Lunch Program. I think you guys are in it here in Riverton. But I work with daycare home providers. So I help people that are doing daycares receive funding for feeding children that are in their care.
Another one of those helpful jobs.
How long have you been a member of this?
You know, I think we probably joined in more like '04, because I think Josie, who's now 14, 15, was about 2 or 3 years old, so just a couple years after that.
Did you go to the church when you were a kid?
Not here. I went to a church in Carbondale, but it was a Methodist church. Well, much larger. Not as big as the one on the other side of town, but it was a big church.
What are your interests and hobbies?
Oh, I've got a lot of similar ones that Melissa does. I'm not as into jewelry. I do it sometimes, but I really I grow gourds, and I paint them and carve them, and
Do you know what
all
gourds
sorts
are?
of funky
Like
things.
little, like when they dry up or like maracas?
Yes, you can make maracas, or you can make, you've seen, I'm sure, bird
Seen a lot
houses.
around Halloween.
And I grow them myself, so that the whole thing comes from me. I like to do that.
She's very crafty.
Yeah, that's great.
What things do you do outside the church?
Let's see. I have a tendency to help neighbors, especially older neighbors that don't have family around. So I like to kind of watch out for them and check in on them. And
You do VBS.
yeah, I do BBS, which is kind of church related, but I do all the craft stuff for that. That to me is kind of a reward because I don't get to be crafty in my job very much. And when I told my daughter I was coming to talk to you guys today, she goes, "Oh my, that's going to be boring." Somebody has to do those jobs. So the crafting was kind of the nice part.
Have you ever been a Sunday school teacher?
Yes, I have for many, many years. You were in my Sunday school class?
No.
For the very end.
Then.
I was in a Sunday school teacher the whole time Josie, my daughter, was in Sunday school. And I think I quit when she was in about junior high.
Because I think it was still Karen.
Right,
my
Karen
mom-
and I
my-
taught. And then your mom started helping. And your mom was doing the younger ones.
But my mom couldn't, like, when I was, like, in this room, I teach my mom had to go somewhere else, and then I had to go over there with someone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And then you start, because we have too many kids of the same age. And now it's more fun for you guys, I'm sure, to meet with kids that are more your age instead of having to worry about the younger ones and have different interests.
I like that besides. Better.
Well, now look how the room you have.
I still like that side better.
Closer to the food, right?
No, it's like, doing what we did. Wasn't it like a pig thing?
Oh, yeah, we made the pig, you're right. We painted it, the original pig, and I guess it's still in the thing, but the one I bought was a little stronger, so I bought him down in Mexico.
Like,
Oh, let's see. Origami, is that what you did that? We did a lot of things. I try to do those now in vacation Bible school.
did you go to Sunday school with Riverton?
Yes, I did, and probably till I was about in junior high, I guess. Yes. And I was in the choir too.
I think that's been consistent with almost everybody we've interviewed, that they went to Sunday school when they were kids.
Yeah.
How did you know you wanted to be a part of this church?
Well, I'm not really sure what, I always wanted to be a Methodist, and so I came here. I didn't want to come when my kids were too little because it kind of bothered me. We didn't have quite the setup for Sunday school, and the noise that children make sometimes, I think it bothers mom and dad worse than anybody. So you have a tendency to be concerned that other people are going to be offended by it, so you kind of stay away. But once my kids started to be older, and I knew that they would be able to understand, I wanted to get some good information.
And just like JT that we interviewed last week, started going to church with his family when he lived here in Riverton, and then he kept going after he moved out of Riverton. And the same thing is true for Debbie. She doesn't live in Riverton.
No. I still live in the country, and I actually only moved 7 miles. As the crow flies, it's probably 2 or 3. But it moved me from the country in one school district to the country in another school district. Yeah, but I still come here.
Why do you think it's important to do things for your church?
Because the church needs us to do things. You know, like I told you a little while ago, that I pay the bills. I can't pay bills if I don't get money. So that's one way people are helping. But there's a lot more jobs, just like I have to write the checks, and I have to wonder about if there's money and make sure that payroll gets here on the right time, so not to forget these things. Then, you know, that's my job. But there's a lot of very important jobs to the church, and if we don't have all of us, it's not going to happen.
That's right, and everybody needs to take some kind of part in it, just like in your families. I suppose some people get away with just smooth sailing and never really doing anything at their own house, right? But most of us have chores and obligations that we take care of in our own families. And the same thing is true of our larger family of the church, that we have lots of jobs to do to keep this family and this house running.
And you know, I was going to say, when you help out at your house, I know sometimes you really don't want to do it, but don't you feel a little better when you do that? Well, it's not any different for any of us that are involved with the church.